What's up, everyone? Pags here at MEI Studio. This week, we're going to take another historical look at another new company that we haven't looked at yet. We're talking about Soyuz and the 1973, this time on the Mic Locker. Welcome back to the Mic Locker. If this is your first time here, stick around for some history and studio demos on this week's mic, the Soyuz 1973. A few months back at the AES show, my podcast partner Mikhail and I got to speak to some reps from Soyuz and check out some of the handmade boutique mics they produced. We spent quite a bit of time speaking with them, and at the end of the demo, they gave us a card and told us to get in touch with them after the show to work out some in-studio demos. And you could be sure that I took them up on that offer. After a few emails back and forth, Soyuz was kind enough to send over a few mics for us to check out. The 023 Fet bomblet, a pair of 013 pencil condensers, and something I've had my eye on for a while, the 1973. I have a few places where I've been looking to up my mic game in the studio, and one of those places was outside front of Kick. We did a huge Kick mic shootout a while back that I hope I never have to do something like that again, but it made me think that out of all the Kick mics that we have here in the studio, none of them were really killing the outside kick slot. Our vintage D12 is kind of cool for a more vintage or jazz vibe, but since that mic tends to be a little more mid-forward, doesn't really deliver the sound I've been looking for. Years ago, I remember using an old Fet 47 mic that had great low end to it, and I've been chasing that sound ever since, but not trying to chase the price around. We also ran into Bee's Knees at the AES show, who has a pretty faithful recreation of the Fet 47, which I was really enticed by. So I wound up picking up the 1973, and Mikhail wound up going for the Bee's Knees, and I'm happy to report that we're both very happy with our purchases. Full disclosure, I did buy this mic. It was not given to me. Soyuz was nice enough to lend us some mics to test out in our studio, which definitely made the decision to pick this mic up that much easier. But I did buy it. While my main reason for picking the mic up was for front of Kick, this is certainly more than a one-trick pony. Before we get into the studio demos, let's take a look at the history of Soyuz. Back in 2013, David Brown and his band Brazzaville was on tour in Russia. They had been there many times before for almost a decade or so, but this time David had a unique chance encounter with a fan in the town of Krasnodar. The fan asked if the band would ever play in his hometown. David asked where that might be, and the fan replied, Tula. Tula happens to be the hometown of Octava Microphones, which David also happened to own a few of. David asked if the guy would be able to set up a tour of the Octava factory if they played there, and arrangements were made and the wheels were set in motion. Since Octava produces equipment for the military and from my research is at least partially, if not fully, state-owned, special permission had to be obtained by the FSB, which is Russia's federal security agency. The tour was approved and David got to visit the factory. Once there, he was able to see the depressed state the factory was in and got to speak to some of the people doing the manufacturing. At this time, Octava had lost their distribution in the West, and he jokingly said, maybe we should form a company and help them get back to America. Well, that joke led to some more serious conversations, and before long, talks between David and Pavel Bazdrayev, aka Pasha, were started with Octava. The only problem is that just when they were about to sign some paperwork to get things going, the parent company of Octava, Rostec, fired the management staff for Octava. The replacements were, let's say, less than willing to play ball. So rather than just give up, David and Pasha started to look for alternative ways to get something going. Instead of just exporting Octava mics, perhaps take some of the older designs that were never released or shelved and put out some new, unique tube mics that had a more vintage vibe to them than anything that was on the market at the time. After securing some capital from an investor in New York, the pair were able to purchase a quality lathe and started making capsules and bodies. A short time later, the first 4 prototypes of the 017 mic were complete and sent to some prominent engineers like Al Schmidt and Nigel Godrich, and a couple others. But the response was overwhelmingly positive, and David and Pasha were in business. Setting up a factory that was pleasant and inviting was of vital importance to them. After seeing the state the Octava factory was in, they felt the factory should be a place where people wanted to come and work. They began hiring machinists from the weapons industry and were soon producing a line of handmade mics with old world quality that essentially no other company was providing at the time. This attention to detail and craftsmanship is what set Soyuz apart from so many of the other Johnny-come-lately manufacturers. And I do want to take a side note here to address something, given the geopolitical climate at the time this video is being produced. Unlike Octava, Soyuz is not politically affiliated, nor are they involved in any military activity. Just because the government of the region is involved in certain actions doesn't necessarily mean that these folks agree with those actions. The people involved with Soyuz are interested in making beautiful, handcrafted products that help to create things. The word Soyuz itself means unity. The former Soviet Union was called Sovietsky Soyuz. The Soyuz rockets that are used to send equipment and personnel to the International Space Station were named so as a hope of uniting various nations of the world in a common goal of space research and exploration. That being said, one of the company's latest undertakings was the Model 1973. Since most of the Soyuz lineup was well into the four figures price-wise, the company wanted to put out a product that still captured the sound of a Soyuz mic without the price tag associated with it. While still not cheap by any stretch, the 1973 currently retails for around $800 USD. The mic features a handmade body and the same bomblet capsule found in their more expensive models. Inspired by the Fet mics of the 1960s, this small package packs a huge punch when it comes to sound. The capsule is known as the S23, and it was inspired by the Lomo triple backplate version of their take on AKG's CK12 capsule found in the C12. If you're wondering, Lomo was the pinnacle of microphone technology in Eastern Europe after World War II. Drawing inspiration from top German designs at the time, Lomo created some very unique-looking microphones, to say the least. The mic is a single cardioid polar pattern. It features a dual 10 or 20 dB pad switch on the bottom, which is recessed, perfect for kick drum or other louder sources. The frequency response is an amazingly flat 30 to 18 kilohertz with only a 1 dB gentle slope upward, about 13K, and then a gentle roll-off at the top of the range. The max SPL for the mic is 140 decibels. The mic has a self-noise of 18 dBA weighted and has an impedance of 150 ohms. The mic is on the small side. At only 10 centimeters high and 55 millimeters around, this is definitely the smallest LDC in the studio's collection thus far. Though these mics are not shipped in the fancy wooden boxes the more expensive mics are, likely to keep costs down, the box is nice and comes with a load of information. An individual frequency response for your particular mic, info about the manufacturing of your particular mic as well, including cards and photos of the people involved in making the microphone. Mine was machined by Ivan, assembled by Yekaterina, and tested by Vladimir. There's also a warranty card, a thank you message, and a sticker. My only gripe with the microphone's design isn't with the mic itself, but with the mic holder that's provided for it. This odd-shaped L connector unfortunately isn't very flexible when trying to get the mic positioned properly. I recently designed a shock mount for the mic, which I've yet to put together and use, but I'll have a video on that pretty soon. Maybe a short. Let's bring the mic into the studio and put it through its paces. I really wish I had a Fet 47 to compare it to, but if I had that, I probably wouldn't have picked this thing up. And the funny thing is, this mic is kind of in a class all its own. While the U47 eventually transformed into the U47 Fet, the 1973 is perhaps closer to what the C12 may have been if it didn't go down the 414 route. We saved some of the tests that we did from the other Soyuz mics that were given to us to try out as well, so we'll put those up as a comparison. Should be a decent test. All right, let's get to it. I'm going to leave a link down below that Soyuz put out about a year ago that shows the making of a 1973 microphone. Also, you'll get to hear some really cool nylon string guitar playing along with it, but it'll give you an idea of just how much work actually goes into building one of these mics. Big sound, little package, all vibe. While I got this mic primarily for outside kick, I've already found myself using it for a number of other things like upright bass, acoustic guitar, where I didn't want an overly brilliant sound. The mic is well balanced tonally, but doesn't sound sterile to me. While some may say that the mic sounds mid-forward, I don't agree with that at all. Instead, I feel that the mic is not mid-scooped, as so many other mics today are. They're trying to get that DJ smile EQ at the mic. To me, this is very reminiscent of the older AKG mics where a flat response was the ultimate goal. This mic certainly delivers that kind of feel and sound. While the mic connector leaves a bit to be desired, the mic being as compact as it is does allow it to fit into some tighter spots, like on the floor tom, for example. What were your thoughts on this mic? Do you own one and use it for something specific like I've been doing? Have you had your eye on this mic and maybe just haven't pulled the trigger on it yet? While the price tag at $800 is hardly something I'd call entry level, I don't think you'll find another mic out there that is completely handmade for anywhere near this price. And when I say handmade, like everything, the body, the capsule, everything. This mic was cut out of a billet on a lathe by a person, not pumped out by some CNC machine by the thousands. I take pride in knowing that a piece of gear was precision handcrafted by a person over a mass-produced piece. Definitely has its own unique story and the receipts to back it up, as we saw with the cards that come with the mic. That's a personal connection that you get with this product that I haven't seen with any other manufacturer that we've looked at so far, with the exception of the mics that I built myself, but I also didn't carve out the bodies of the mics that I made. Leave me your thoughts in a message down below. I'd love to talk about it. As always, if you've gotten anything from today's video, please hit that like and subscribe button. If you're interested in studio mics and other things audio related, hit that notify button so you'll be notified when we put up a new video. If you have any suggestions for a video or any questions regarding this one, again, please use the comments section or send us a message through our website. I'd love to hear from you. Well, that's it for this time. This is Pags, signing off.